Oh, that's cold. All right. Hi friends. This is the second video I am filming today, so if you want to know what is on my face and how I got here, I will leave that video up here. Today I'm going to be talking about makeup instead of putting it on my face, and I've had this idea for a series for a while now, and since I'm pre-filming a bunch in the next couple of weeks, I thought this would be a perfect time to start it. Being a YouTuber who does makeup content, I'm always on the hunt for new brands to try, especially indie makeup. I think this year more than ever, I want to primarily focus on indie brands. And the longer I do this, the more indie brands are just coming out of the woodwork. My Instagram feed is just inundated with new indie makeup brands. It got to the point where it was a little bit overwhelming. So with all these new indie makeup brands coming out, I didn't want to forget any of them. So I needed to figure out a way to keep track of them all. Every time I saw a product I was interested in, I would save that post to reference later. But of course I would forget that I did that. And so I would just lose track of all these brands that had really interesting product. And so in an attempt to try and remember all of these brands and all of the things they offer, basically to use as a reference later on, I thought it would be fun to start a series on my channel that I would like to call the Brand Compendium. Essentially, it's just going to be a series of videos where I talk about all of the brands that I am aware of and categorize them. I have come up with 4 categories. First category is brands that I am lusting after. You know, the brands that when you see their products online, you just get the grabby hands. Second category is brands that I'm on the fence about or just want to get to know a little bit better. Not necessarily jumping at the chance to order something from them, but are brands that I want to keep on my radar for future reference. Third category is brands that do not interest me. The brands that you know you should be interested in based on their popularity, but just can't seem to get behind or find any products from them that interest you. And the fourth and final category is brands I think you should know. Essentially, I'm just going to go through all the brands that I have tried, that I stand behind, that I want to shed some light on. Regardless of whether or not this is going to be an interesting series, it's essentially just going to be a really helpful reference for me that will take all of the multitudes of lists that I have stockpiled in here and just kind of put them out into the open. Also, I think that this series will invite a lot of great discussion, a lot of great recommendations. All in all, I think this video series is going to be a great way to just chat about some makeup and kind of get a reading on which brands I should throw my money at. I'm so excited to get into this because I have been sitting on these lists for quite some time, and I'm just really looking forward to chatting about them with you all. So today's video, the first video in the Brand Compendium series, we are going to be talking about brands that I lust after. If that sounds interesting to you, then please keep on watching and let's get started. I have my notes. I think what spurred this on the most is that every time I would sit down to make a list of brands that either I wanted to try or I wanted to talk about, I kept feeling the need to break down this list even further into smaller categories. You know, when you have responsibilities and you make a to-do list, for me, I get really overwhelmed when that list is quite long. It feels like it is an insurmountable task. For me, it is always healthier to just break things down into smaller, more manageable chunks for my brain to digest easier. So I want to approach this compendium in the same way. I'm totally down for some healthy discourse because I'm going to be throwing out a lot of opinions. Some of them might be unfounded because these are all brands that I haven't tried. These are just impressions I have of the brands and their products, which if you have more intimate knowledge of these brands, you might feel contrary, which is great. I would love to know how you feel about these brands. So for the first category, I want to focus on all the brands that whenever I see them pop up in my feed, I just want to throw money at them. Just the kind of makeup that gets your heart racing. You start to salivate, you're hyperventilating, and it's all too much. And for this video at least, I know for sure that pretty much every brand on this list I will eventually get around to trying. All right. Let's dive right in. It's funny, every time I want to remember a brand, what I essentially do is just pull up their website in Chrome on my phone, and then I just leave that tab open. Every time I open up Chrome, there's always these little reminders just going, buy me, buy me. So I'm sorry if this video gives you a case of the eye wants. At least I'll have someone to commiserate with. Let's start this train of pain, shall we? First on the list of brands that I lust after is Kimchi Chic Beauty. Now, I've heard lots of contradicting opinions about Kimchi Chic and the quality of their product, but gosh dang it, if I haven't loaded up a shopping cart on their website and then completely abandoned it at least 4 or 5 times in a row, there is just something about the aesthetics of this brand that I just cannot forget. What comes to mind immediately when I think of Kimchi Chic is these little blush duos in those little heart compacts. I'm a sucker for like a cute blush compact, and I love the idea of blush duos. I love the idea of blending 2 colors of blush together to create something really dimensional, and I also really love the idea of getting 2 products in one. Also to have the option to layer them on top of each other. You know, your girl loves using multiple blushes in one look. On any given day, you will see me with at least 3 blushes on, and some of these look perfect for that. Now, I've heard some mixed reviews about the quality of them, so I'm starting to think that maybe I should give Kimchi Chic a pass, but I don't know. I kind of want to find out for myself. Also, the shade ranges are great on this line. They have a loose setting powder that comes in 9 different shades. I also like that there's a huge range of products. It's not just eyeshadow and it's not just powders. There's also tons of complexion products. I would love to try this concealer. I've heard lots of good things about it. Some of the undertones in here are really great and super varied too. Also, I love Kimchi's drag. I think it is just so freaking cool. And now for something completely different. Next brand on this list is Ritual de Fille. I've danced around this brand for so long now. I think I heard about this brand like 3 or 4 years ago. Like when I first started getting into YouTube, they kind of specialize in a lot of cream products, stuff that's very transformative. Big witch vibes coming from them, which is obviously a huge selling point for me. I think they had this, I can't remember what it was called, something like the anti-highlight. I think that was the first product I'd ever seen from them. It was this black compact of cream, but when you put it on your face, it transformed into this, I think it was like almost like a translucent purple kind of cream shade. It was weird, and I didn't really understand it, but I was intrigued. Basically, they've come up with every single kind of balm you could possibly imagine. Also, all of their products are very unconventionally named, let's just say that. Like this at the front of their website, the Color Nectar Pigment Balm, which is essentially a cream blush. I think a lot of these products that they do are very multi-use, like they can be used for a lot of different things. They also have these products that they call eye soots, which is basically just loose eyeshadow pigment. Do you see what I mean by unconventional names? It's like they're trying really hard to not call it a loose pigment. They're like, let's get the farthest away we can from calling it makeup. They have these eyeliner pots that I think they're just eyeliner, but they call them black orbs. Like, keep them guessing. We need this to be as mysterious as humanly possible. We don't want our customers to have the faintest idea what they're buying. We just want them to know that they want it. They have these things called highlight intensifiers. So they're not even highlights. They're like a highlight for your highlight. These things look so blinding. I don't even care that they've invented a new category of makeup. I just want it all over my face. Oh, there's this shade called Ghost Light. It's like this pale lavender dream. One of these days I'm gonna have to do a ritual haul. And once I get it, I will have no idea what to do with it, but it won't matter because I will be so happy. Next on the list is Necromancy Cosmetica. Between this brand and the next one, every makeup artist I saw on Instagram that I saw their lipstick and wanted to know what it was usually necromancy. They're of the camp, do one thing and do it really, really well. Whenever I came across a photo of an Instagram makeup artist and I was like, what is that shade? I need to know what that is right this very second. It was usually one of these. I think the one I saw first that really caught my attention was Solus Mortem, which is this intensely pigmented mustard yellow cream lipstick. And the way that they photograph these, they look so insanely comfortable to wear. As much as I love the Black Moon Cosmetics Autumn Lip Trio, they are definitely a liquid to matte formula that is not nearly as comfortable as a bullet lipstick would be. And these just look like the creamiest, dreamiest formula. And they have all these really lovely looking bundles, like the fall shades. Oh, the fall shades? Like the kind of nude lipsticks you think a witch would wear. Oh, this like gray brown shade, Terra Mater, Divine Flesh, Gravedigger. Also branding on point. This is one of those websites I've had open in Chrome tabs for, I think, literal years. And speaking of coveted lipstick brands, let's talk about Ink of Elation. Their formula is definitely the liquid to matte kind of formula, which if the formula is right, I'm all about. I love me a good matte liquid lipstick. Again, this brand's color range is just so right up my alley. Right off the bat, you get dark, muted, taupey. Like, I've always gravitated towards Sienna. Pash looks divine. I think Thistle and Tempest are the two shades though that I have nothing like them in my collection and would probably definitely get some use out of. Next brand on the list of things that give me the grabby hands, Kaleidos. I remember seeing these highlighters for the first time. I felt like my soul left my body. I think the first thing I would love to order from Kaleidos is a couple of these space age highlighters. These just look like the most amazing duochromy, shifty highlighters I've ever seen. These are very reminiscent to me of the Moonchild Glow Kit, if anyone remembers that. I used that palette to death. I still have it. It's at home. I don't use it on my channel anymore. Ever since the great ABH purge of 2020, they've left a pretty large gap in my collection. Every now and then, you just need something that's a little bit different than a champagne or a rose gold. Like Skywalker? Like, yes, I want to look like a blue alien from outer space, please. You want to look like a space mermaid? Kaleidos has got you covered. Star Surfer? Oof, that like silvery pink shift. Moon Cruiser looks absolutely sensational, and I cannot get over Solar Sailor. And of course, the newest one that they just released called the Space Age Prophecy. I think it's like a triochrome. I can't even describe it. It's that ridiculous. In my head, that money's already gone. Another brand that I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to be purchasing from very, very soon, probably with my eyes closed, Danessa Myricks. I mean, you've seen the products. You've seen the demonstrations on her Instagram. You know what they can do. She has such a wide range of interesting and innovative formulas, stuff that you wouldn't normally think about when it comes to makeup, stuff that I've not seen other brands do quite like Danessa. Now, of course, Danessa Myricks is also a makeup artist, and I do think that leads to a lot of innovation. If you've seen any of her work, you usually see a model that looks like they've just come out of a pool of coconut oil. You want dewy, you want glow, you want like luxurious creamy complexion, do not look any further than Danessa. I think the things that I'm most intrigued by though are the color fixes. They look like they would be such a great universal tool. The way that they blend, I've seen them used as eyeshadow, I've seen them used as blushes, as lipsticks. They just look so versatile. I would just love to have a handful of them at the ready. Also, she just came out with some balm contours that look like everything I've ever wanted in a cream contour. Lots of complexion products. And as much as I'm not an unset makeup kind of person, like I do need to powder down. Otherwise, this goes everywhere. There's something about these dew wet balms that she makes that kind of make me want to change my entire makeup routine. Moving right along, we have another drag queen brand in the mix here. Of course, it's Trixie Cosmetics, baby. I've been obsessed with Trixie ever since I saw her on Drag Race, and she just gets better with age. Honestly, her confidence in herself is just inspiring. I remember when Trixie first announced that she was launching a makeup brand, and I think to start off with, it was just loose glitters, which aren't necessarily, you know, on the top of my to buy list. But when she started releasing these delicious looking lipsticks and then having the audacity to release the most adorable blush palettes I've ever seen, how dare they? The Mod About You blush palette, it's the newest one that they just launched. I mean, anything Trixie comes out with, you know that the aesthetics are going to be on point. They're the kind of unicorns that you just can't bring yourself to throw out. Okay, next brand on the list is SVA Beauty, purely and only for their hydro liners. I think the first person I saw using these hydro liners was Pompberry, and ever since then, every time she pulls out Space Panda, I have a mighty need. Basically, I would love the entire hydro liner collection. I have never seen anything like them in my life, and every time someone pulls one out, I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what I need. Like fun, hyperpigmented, ultra neon, bright ass liners that you can use for really fun detail work. It's something I'm missing terribly from my collection, especially Space Panda. I feel like you can't go wrong with a really ultra bright white liner. They just are so useful. They do other products too, but the hydro liners are the product that live rent-free in my brain. Also found out, actually last Halloween when I was there last, that the FX makeup store that is just down the street from me sells all of the SVA hydro liners. All right, next up we have to talk about her. It's Pat McGrath. I've had at least 2 or 3 Mothership palettes just sitting in my Sephora wish list for years. Pat McGrath is also a makeup artist, which makes perfect sense when you see these products being demoed. Every time I see someone pull out one of these palettes, I feel the most severe case of FOMO I've ever felt in my life, but I've never been able to pull the trigger. The price point is just so prohibitive. But I know more or less that with Pat, it is essentially worth it, worth every penny. There just hasn't been a Mothership palette that has made me completely throw away all of my inhibitions until Divine Rose 2. There's a multichrome in here that makes my heart skip a beat. Not to mention the color scheme of the palette itself is dusty, rosy perfection. This is a palette that I actually like have dreams about. Like I daydream about using this palette and about the looks I could create. I know that Pat McGrath makes a slew of other types of products, but it's the Mothership palettes that I just cannot get out of my head. I'm gonna get it. It's gonna happen. Does anybody have $110? Anybody? No? We're in a pandemic and everyone's unemployed? Right, got it. All right, let's move on to a Black-owned brand that I've had my eye on for a while now, and it is SVA Beauty. And they have every palette you could possibly want or need, but the one collection that really has caught my eye that I can't get out of my head is the entire Paradise Collection bundle. It's 4 palettes, which I know I don't need, but for me, I feel like these would be the absolute perfect replacement for all of the ABH palettes that I no longer use on the channel. The range of colors is amazing. I love all the vibes of each of these separate palettes. SVA Beauty does other things as well, but I think their eyeshadow palettes are really where they shine. Speaking of amazing looking eyeshadow palettes, let's talk about Musa Beauty. If you're into makeup, you've probably seen the Impressionism palette from them floating around Instagram. The packaging. Can we just have a little Monet moment? Not to mention these color washes, these little duos that they've released. But the thing I think I want the most is the Impressionism palette. What a lovely color scheme. And I'm on their website right now and I'm this close to impulse buying the entire curation collection. I don't need that, right? I don't need it, but I want it. It's $200 for the entire collection, and that's not bad. That's 2 different eyeshadow palettes, all of the color washes, 2 lip glosses, and a handful of lip liners. Like, that's not bad. $200 for all that? It's not bad. Moving on to an influencer brand, it's Lunar Beauty. I cannot stop kicking myself for not getting the Strawberry Dream palette when I had the chance. It was at Sephora. I could have just walked in there and bought it. And now if I wanted anything from Lunar Beauty, I would have to pay like $40 in shipping. The shipping is astronomical with Lunar Beauty. Manny, why? Why? The packaging is everything. Obviously, I feel like Manny's aesthetics are absolutely pristine. I feel like once the catastrophe of Life's a Drag was over, I think he got a better handle on the imagery and the aesthetics of his brand. And now it is just so locked in. I am totally spellbound by all of the Sailor Moon references. Like, it's got me right by the collar, man. But I think what I most want from this brand is the cheek products. Listen, the Moon Prism blush palette, gosh darn it. I saw Robbie D. Christie use this palette and it made me die inside a little bit. I mean, I love blush. We know this. The entire highlighters and blush section on this website, sometimes I just go there to look at them. I just love that prismatic kind of packaging. I think it's just so satisfying. Speaking of satisfying looking highlighters, I am nailing these segues, by the way. Let's talk about Ofra. If you've been in the makeup game, you've seen an Ofra highlighter. You know it, you love it. I have no idea why Ofra isn't anywhere near Canada, but I feel like that needs to be remedied. I feel like they would do really well in Sephora. I don't know why they're not there. I mean, they do a whole wide swath of different products, but their highlighters have like a cult following. They are that popular. One of these days I'm going to have to bite the bullet because glazed donut keeps me up at night. Also Space Baby. I can almost remember the exact moment I saw Nikki put that on her face for the first time. All right, guys, we are finally at the end of the list. The last brand I wanted to talk about that I cannot get out of my head is Lisa Eldridge. She is such a beloved makeup artist and also one of the classiest ladies on the internet. She's got taste, let me tell you that. And that taste, she's expensive. Never in my life have I ever seen a more beautiful lipstick. I'm finding it hard to find words actually about these lipsticks. She also just recently, I think last year, expanded the color range of these lipsticks. I had to throw in the towel, but these sat in my cart for a long time. I cannot get over the range of different undertones. The product photography does not do these lipsticks justice. Like, you have to see her put them on. There are videos of her swatching every single shade. I could watch that video forever. There's something so transformative about these undertones that are just so flattering. I swear to you, every time she put one on, I was like, how does this also look good? She would pull one out and I'd be like, oh, no, not for me, not for me. But then she would put it on and I'd be like, maybe for me? If I could, I would buy this entire range. Along with the new range of colors, she launched this whole create your own collection option on her website. You can get 3 shades of the lipstick and a choice of makeup bag. Oh my God, even the makeup bags I have a case of the I Wants for. There's like this green velvet one. I didn't even talk about the glosses that she launched alongside of all of these. And that is the first category in the Brand Compendium, all complete. These are the brands that if someone were to give me like a huge chunk of money that I had to spend on makeup for whatever reason, these would be at the top of the list. And this list is just going to get smaller and smaller because eventually I will want to own something from each of these brands. Out of all of these, I would love to know which one you would want me to explore first. That's a great question. Please leave that in the comments below. Also, if there's a ride or die brand of yours that I didn't mention in this list, I would love to know what those are as well. That was a lot of talking and a lot of pining after a bunch of beautiful makeup, and so I'm a little bit exhausted now. So I'm gonna go. But I really hope that you guys found this at least a little bit interesting. I'm really looking forward to diving into the rest of this series with you. And with that, I think I'm just gonna rattle it off to you. Here are the many ways that you can help out my channel. You can give this video a huge thumbs up. You can comment down below what you thought of everything. You can subscribe. You can follow me on other social media. I will leave those right there. Please go check out my Patreon if you want to support an artist, if you want to see more behind the scenes type things. I've left some petitions down below for you to sign, and I think that's everything. All right, with that, folks, please stay safe, stay sane, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay home if you can. Just keep doing your best, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.